What is going on, guys? It is Friday, August 29th, 2025. I do think this is the day after. No, it's been a couple days already. I think this happened on Tuesday, and now it's Friday of this week. Um, a person, I guess it's a transgender male, I do not know the name, in Minneapolis, shot a school, like a Catholic school, killing people. He killed two people, I believe, a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and then he himself, I think he killed himself, or he did die. I'm saying he, but I don't really know. I believe I looked at a picture. It looks like it's a biological male. Honestly, I'm not trying to focus on that. I know the media wants to focus on things like that. Oh, it's a transgender person, etc. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is just talk about this problem we keep having in America. This is a problem that continues to happen where we have these school shootings. This wasn't always the way things were. When I was a kid, you never heard about school shootings. The first thing was probably Columbine. That kind of kicked it off. And then there's been many, many since then. Of course, there was a Sandy Hook, and that kind of started the whole kid, like little kid school shootings. Used to just be high school or colleges. Now they're just killing everything, killing everybody. It's just crazy, and we have not actually. I don't think we've taken any steps at all as a country. We just continue to let it happen, and I know people very much just want to protect the gun rights, and I think that's why we just let it happen. They say, "Well, he's breaking the law. We have laws. You're not supposed to break them." People that do this, and by the way, I noticed it's almost always white men. Yeah, it's almost always white men. White men, or I don't know if you want to say men or boys, because they're anywhere from let's say 16 to 25 typically. That's barely considered a man in my opinion. You can be, but not everybody is at age 25 even still. It takes time. So yeah, I mean, what are we going to do as a country? We don't want to take away the guns. That's the thing. Nobody ever wants to take away the guns. So if we're not going to do that, then what's the solution? Are we going to have armed security? Why not? I mean, why not? If we're not going to take away the guns, shouldn't we probably do that? I'm open for debate here. I know the first thing people are going to come on here and say is if you take the guns, they're still going to get the guns. I would argue that that's not true. If you make things hard, people will probably just find other things to do, and they'll figure out other things. And I mean, it's just a fact, in my opinion, that if you take away the guns, this problem is going to get a whole lot better. And the argument's going to be, well, at what cost, though? And why should I have to give up my guns when I'm just a law-abiding citizen? And that's a good point. But I'd like to hear from those people, though. What's the solution? Should we just continue to let this happen? And every time it happens, we just say, oh, I'm sorry about that. You have our thoughts and prayers. On to the next one. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Oh, there's another school shooting. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm sorry. Thoughts and prayers. Let's go to the next one. Oh, there's another one. Sorry. Thoughts and prayers. We're not addressing the problem. It just keeps happening. And something should change. Something should change. It's not getting better at all. I'd say it's just getting worse. So as a country, do we just let something like this happen forever? No. I mean, usually we address problems. Usually when there's a problem, you look for a solution. For example, you go back to that time when there was that person that was poisoning Tylenol bottles. What'd they do? They took a whole bunch of precautions. They started sealing the caps, so you couldn't just go into a store and put cyanide inside the bottle, etc. And we don't even know if that was a person to this day that was doing that. It could have been some problem with the company, But anyway, that's not what I'm trying to talk about here. We got to figure something out as a country, how to stop these school shootings. It's not up to me or you. But the people in charge aren't, like I said, they're not doing anything. Nothing happened under Biden either. So if you're going to say, well, This is a Trump thing. This is a Republican thing. Biden didn't change anything either, guys. No one's daring to budge. No one's daring to try anything. You would think that they would want to at least try something. I'm not saying that you want to right now go and seize all the weapons. Oh man, all hell would frickin' break loose. I'm not saying that either. I really don't actually know what the heck they should do, but I think they should do something. Because I think it's something we can all agree on. To let our kids just get murdered at random pretty regularly is just not something we should shrug off and say, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old at this Christian Minnesota school. They were in their mass section of the school service, and someone started shooting bullets through the windows, and so yeah, just totally awful. And they're going to say this. They're going to say it's not the guns that are doing this. It's the people, and that is true. But without the guns, they couldn't shoot. They couldn't shoot through the windows. And if you might say, oh, they're only going to use knives going forward. Well, guess what? If you have a knife, you're going to get stopped a lot quicker than if you're sniping through like a window where no one can even see you or do anything, and etc. So I guess if you want my opinion, because I'm sure you guys are going to want my opinion, I think they got to make it a whole lot harder to get guns. That's for sure. There needs to be some precautions. There needs to be some controls. Not just any guy can walk in there and get one. You got to go through a series of vetting. Okay, you want a gun? Why is that? What's the reason? Are you mentally stable? What are you going to do with it? I know we have the waiting period. Not sure how much that really does for good. But we need to figure out which ones of these people can go and get a gun. I've bought guns before. So it was so simple. You walked in there. I think you might have given them an ID. They bring it back and they do some quick checks. They came back out. Boom. Of course, I have a clean criminal record, so maybe that made it a lot simpler. But there was nothing to it. And you might say, solid, that's your right. Yeah, it's a nice right to have, for sure, being able to protect yourself. But we're abusing the privilege in this country. We're completely abusing the privilege. So much murder with these weapons. So, and yes, I know that the vast majority of people don't do that. I get it. But what's the answer? What's the answer? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.